if peaceful protesters won't withdraw, Trudeau's banking on martial law. Justin Trudeau, Canada's most famous person of color, announced for the first time in its history that his country has invoked the Emergencies Act to crack down on the trucker protests. After all, those bouncy castles won't deflate themselves. He says the measures will be time-limited, reasonable, and proportionate, which is the same thing I said when I signed up for those pole dancing classes. Anyway, here's Prime Minister, or Prime Miniature, Pantene, showing off his brand new suburban mom hairstyle.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act to supplement provincial and territorial capacity to address the blockades and occupations. We're entering the third week of illegal blockades that have been disrupting the lives of too many Canadians. Here in our capital city, families and small businesses have been enduring illegal obstruction of their neighbourhoods, occupying streets, harassing people, breaking the law. This is about keeping Canadians safe.
So as to the Emergency Act, it was passed in 1988, the same year I was born, Martha, and grants the government way more power in times of national crisis, like a war or too many polar bears. But lawful protests do not qualify. Well, unless you believe a horn can take down the government. So that's debatable here. But the act also allows banks to freeze personal accounts with anyone linked to the protest without a court order. And vehicle insurance for anyone involved can be canceled, which means the government can bankrupt anyone they don't like. China must be licensing their ideas for oppression. Meanwhile, CNN continues to paint the protesters as something else entirely.
This has devolved from sort of vaccine mandate concerns to general mandate concerns to just anger concerns about sort of too many government restrictions, and they want their freedom back, whatever that means.
Whatever that means? It's weird to have to tell a journalist whatever that means. Maybe he's not one. Martha? My theory, the Prime Minister got off to a really bad start, and he doesn't have the balls to admit that he should start over with these truckers.
To put it in reverse and say, why don't we talk? Because once you say that people have unacceptable views, you've really sort of cleared the decks of sort of, let's meet in the middle, right? I'm sorry, your views are unacceptable. It's like, how do you get sort of back? I blame Pete Buttigieg, who we don't hear a lot from, the transportation secretary, because he was one of the people who got on the phone and said, we think that you should, work this out. You should use your federal powers, right? So now they've used their federal powers, and truckers are sending text messages, pictures of the texts that they're getting that say, we've just canceled your insurance, we've canceled your contract, you no longer have a job. And I love, that he says freedom, whatever that means, right? It reminds me of when Prince Charles was engaged to Princess Diana, or then Diana, and a reporter said to him, sir, are you very much in love? And he said, whatever that means.
Hold on a second. Producer, we need to acknowledge that Martha was able to work in a royalty story into this.
Well, when I heard him say whatever that means, that was the first thing that sprung to my head.
You know why? Because you
like
are
love or freedom. If you don't know what love is and you don't know what freedom is,
that's right.
You better start at square one.
I'm with Foreigner in the sense that I want to know what love is.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, someone should show you.
Yes. Oh, Michelle. Kat, you love truckers. Some say too much. Why do you think that Trudeau is clinging so tightly to these COVID mandates? He just can't admit he was wrong.
Probably because he just can't admit he was wrong.
Thank you. That's why you're here.
No, but this is really, truly crazy. It's not just the people who are there, but if you donated any money, they can just freeze your bank account. That's complete. I think there's a lot of ways to win an argument, but proving the other side was correct is not on that list. And that's exactly what he's doing with this.
Yeah, it's great. Can we talk about how he's changed? I mean, we're going to keep it but he doesn't look like a prime minister anymore. He looks like a male babysitter.
Well, he looks, there's something going on. But you know what? It is funny because he comes out, and I've heard him say things like, we need to be more feminine in our government. The world is feminine. And that's fine. I have no problem with femininity, but there's a yin and a yang here. Anyway, and he's kind of neither. You're right about that haircut. My gosh, it reminds me of.
And he's got the ear tuck, you know, just
yes,
like
and the whole
one ear tuck. It's very
But he's gonna have his ears pierced in 3 months.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
and then he'll have like the danglies all the way up. But here's the thing, I love these truckers.
Yeah.
I love them, and they remind me kind of the Boston Tea Party kind of protest. Like they're gumming things up for people because they really believe in this, and people are calling them anti-vaxxers, forgetting how many of them are actually vaccinated.
Right, yeah.
And it's about mandates. And I don't know why people continue to conflate those
Drives
two
me
ideas.
crazy.
Me too. They are not saying you shouldn't be vaxxed or this is a bad vaccine. They're saying, let us do our job. We've been doing it the whole time. We were doing it before vaccines.
We were doing it while you were eating your poutine.
Yes,
PM or
exactly.
PM.
Let us keep doing it. I support these guys. Look, I think you said earlier today, we're not there. We don't feel the real pain of this, and it's probably a pain. Trudeau should have sat down with them from day one and had it out directly with them across the table. Hasn't done it, probably won't, and this is going to end ugly.
Yeah. What do you make of this mess, Tyrus?
Well, maybe it's just because it's my month, Black History Month.
Yes, you're upset.
It's made me reflect and look back.
Yes.
And it's starting to look a lot like the civil rights movement. It's starting to look like whenever a group of people stands up and the first thing the government does is devalue the people. They take away their dignity, they make them less human. So it's easier when they force the police to go in or the National Guard to hit them with fire hoses or take away their life, and they're all criminals and stuff. But in this case, it's not about skin color, it's about class.
Yes.
So they can try to they'll appeal to that, and he'll make his speeches and he'll talk softly, but it's the same thing. He's basically saying that these uppity lower class citizens have the nerve or the gall to tell us what's good for them when we tell them what's good for them, and they're ungrateful.
That's the reason why the media ends up on the wrong side here.
They were in the civil rights movement, and they are now.
Yeah,
history has a funny way of repeating itself.
But
Just
this is a
time,
class thing.
it's not has nothing to do with skin color. It has everything to do with the level of money they are and where they are in society.
But that's like freedom. Like freedom now is like a dog whistle for fascism, or the alt-right, and you know what? It is.